spare time and do it, or sometimes it's like doing two jobs at the same time.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fun.
well, that's good. I know what you mean. I've been a member of similar types of organization, and I know what you mean. Sometimes it's like a lot more fun to get caught up in that excitement of meeting new people and trying these new experiences. And you're right. Sometimes it can be like a second job. What made you decide to then launch the Fashion Knowledge Coach and do the coaching side of what you're working on nowadays?
The Fashion Knowledge Network is the coaching side, because I feel like I just started like last year, actually. I felt like there's a lot of people who needed help, advice, coaching kind of in their fashion business, especially in the manufacturing side. As we know, China has the biggest textile supply chain in the world. So I think I can help these startups or brands that are in business 1 to 2 years. They're ready to scale up, but they don't know how, and that's where I come in and try to help them on that. So I can just be coach to them. I can advise them on what kind of suppliers they could choose, how to talk to suppliers, how to source more efficiently, how to negotiate with suppliers, and so on. I mean, even though I run a manufacturing business, it's totally separate. I mean, I will use the staff from the manufacturing business, but they don't really have to manufacture for me. They don't have to.
Okay.
They can if they want, but they don't have to at all. There's no obligations or anything. Yeah.
Since you already have those key contacts and everything else in place, do you find that it's just easier for them to work with you through the manufacturing part versus going somewhere else with that?
It depends, because sometimes I find both have their own values. Like if there's someone already have their supplies all set, vendors all set, but sometimes they're not on the same page, and I can coach them. Okay, this is how the manufacturers think. You have to talk to them this way and that way. They'll be like, aha, okay, that's why I'm not getting through them. And then the manufacturers, I sometimes talk to them and say, okay, they mean this and this and this. Okay, your client means this and this and this. It's not like what you're thinking. Because a lot of time it's a lot of miscommunications, especially, people, we in China, we speak Chinese, and English is our second language. So a lot of times there's a lot of translation and all this, that, and different culture. And a lot of times we do things not face to face. So there's a lot more room for error of misunderstanding each other. So, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I recently worked for a tech company that was run by a couple of founders who were both Chinese. And yeah, I mean, definitely, like there are cultural differences, and there's a lot of differences where, sometimes it felt like we weren't kind of communicating on the same area just because of, the language barrier or just cultural misunderstandings. So that makes perfect sense with that.
Yeah, definitely. And what I found out is a lot of times is that when you're engaged in a long chain of email or some discussion, you really kind of drift off from your original goal. It's like when I see that from my staff or from whoever, I say, okay, let's step back and really ask the client or whoever is on the other side, what's their goal? What's their pain point? What are they trying to achieve? And we are clear with what we're trying to achieve so that we know what each other wants. Otherwise, it's just like a chain of email with no ending and no purpose and no goal.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me more about your Fashion Accelerator. When did you start that, and what types of fashion companies are you looking to bring into it?
Oh, so this is a new venture. Yeah, it's doing with a couple of my partners, a couple of my friends in Shanghai. One of them, she was a fashion teacher, and she was a French Canadian. She's been in the industry in China longer than me, actually. And we both have this felt like it's okay. There's so much. One part is that so much for these textile companies, all these suppliers, the supply chain, the parts that normal people don't see, with these companies that they need help to really accelerate, really innovate through better communication, better like marketing strategies, and better like product development. So my partner is really good at that. So we're starting having these workshops, just teaching these people, like coaching these people how to do proper communication, proper marketing, proper development, how to even go to a trade show. When you go to a trade show, how to greet people properly, how to set up your booth, things like that. And while the other side, and one of my other partner, with 3 partners, he's the founder of this leading incubator called Xnode in Shanghai. They're really one of the top one, or if not the best one in Shanghai. And then through that, we work together where we'll start to do programs where we will help these fashion companies, like brands and so on, to innovate, to scale up through innovative ways, through new technologies like 3D printing, new materials like sustainable materials or new advanced materials, things like that. And also we'll touch on the fashion tech side where there's wearable technologies, new retail experience technologies, and so on. We recently actually did a panel discussion. We hosted one at CES Asia recently. So it was talking about the fashion innovation side and the technology side, where it's really, really starting to happen, and it's happening now. So that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So I would like to talk about, where you see fashion headed with technology. Because I recently worked with a 3D scan to print sunglass company. So they would, from our app, 3D scan your head. Algorithms would go to work, analyze the key points on your face, and then 3D print a pair of sunglasses that were custom made for your face. And like in Boston now, I spend a lot of time with innovation companies. So Reebok is 3D printing shoes for people. I'm curious to hear, since you are in the middle of the fashion industry right now, where do you see, like honestly, where are these type of technologies coming or going, and which ones do you think will actually survive? Because obviously, so like 3D printing, maybe you're not 3D printing your entire outfit, kind of a thing. Like maybe it's cool to have a 3D printed pair of shoes right now. But where do you see technology actually taking over where fashion currently is, and which trends do you think will stick?
Wow, it's a big topic here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's just start from 3D printing. 3D printing is it's really happening. Like you talk about the Reebok. I recently working with this one 3D printing company in down in Guangdong area, and we're trying to do 3D printing using TPU, where it's a very flexible material. So really, what that makes is that what I saw is a sample is that they 3D printed a sandal, a very flexible sandal that you can actually wear day to day. So it's not something clunky or stiff that it will hurt your feet. It was something soft. So I'm experimenting how to use that to actually print like fabrics and materials. So still trying that on that. So I should get some samples back in a day or two. It's really coming, the 3D printing, because the cost is really dramatically going down. For fashion, really one of the biggest, if you want to print a 3D clothes, there's two still things that are still really holding it back. One is the right material. Okay. Really printing with the right material. Right now with TPU, people are now experimenting using natural rubber, so we need to print something really soft that really feels good on our skin. That's one obstacle now. Another is the size of that 3D printer. A big size 3D printer is not cheap, and it's very demanding also. So that's two things, because a piece of garment, a t-shirt, is big actually. It's most 3D printer, it won't print that big. Yeah. So it's costly. These are really two things. So if we can solve the material side, which I think it will be really heading there. And recently, there's a lot of companies starting to use these knitting machines. Actually, it's really, really automated knitting machines that really can knit a whole sweater in 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it's a company, Ministry of Supply. I think they have a shop in Boston. They are doing that now. So this kind of customization, it's really coming. In China, the customization of shirts, jeans, suits, it's even like a coat. It's very, very, very popular now. There's many, many companies doing this 3D scanning your body and then make a custom-made suit, bespoke suit for you. Mm-hmm. It's really, really popular. And this customization, I definitely think it will have a big representation in the market down the road, because not everybody, a lot of people are not like this standard size, right? So we always want something a little more customized, personalized that fit us better.
Oh, right.
And and then there's the experience side of when you're doing shopping and online or offline. So like these like AR technology where you can have an avatar on the site so that you can put clothes on it, and then you can kind of see what you look like in that clothes. So these kind of technology will really help to increase the online experience, decrease the number of returns because I don't like this style. It doesn't look as good as what it's on when I'm wearing it, and also increase the conversion rate, which is everybody wants to have really good and increased conversion rate on selling online, right? And also offline, it's these technologies can help a little more personalized experience. So this is one big part. But I think in the offline world, when we go to a shop where we greet a sales associate, a salesperson, we still really want a personal touch to it. I personally don't like to go to a shop where I have to still tap a lot of things on an iPad. That just kind of I don't like that feeling. But I think companies are moving more into really trying to increase the shopping experience online, offline, using technologies or using other ways to increase that, so that it has that more customized personal feeling to it. And another big part, a couple more big parts. One big part is the sustainable part, where a lot of the materials now we were using and still using are not very sustainable, like polyester. Now we're using recycled polyester from this PET bottle. So these are some innovations, technologies that will help to make our world better, to create less waste, because the textile industry is very, very polluting. If you ever go to see a textile mill, you see them doing printing and dyeing, you'll be like, wow, they use so much water and just use a lot of energy. So you'll be like, wow, that's all the things it needs to make my shirt, my t-shirt, my jeans. So it's like, wow, you think twice maybe before you buy new ones. It's really dirty. So we now have technologies that make things cleaner, more sustainable, that uses less energy. We have technology now that can recycle all the water at the textile mills. And there are more and more mills in China are doing that, and even the government is pushing to more sustainable manufacturing, because China's the environment is not very clean, but the government is really pushing on that, and even the private sector is doing that too, because there's a lot of demand from the world, the Western world especially, on more sustainable, cleaner products. But overall, back to the whole sustainable thing, it still really comes down to that we should consume less, so we buy less clothes, and then we wear it more, and then if we need to like dump something, we don't throw it away, we try to pass it on to somebody, donate it, or we upcycle it. Some companies are really trying to upcycle all these old clothes, old materials back into new fibers so that we can go back into the textile industry. So completing that circular loop.